Brittany,
Yeah.
I got my period today and I'm literally dying right now.
That sucks.
In a world so mad, we're so glad you tuned into Lady Props.
Well, that's a good leeway into today's episode.
We are going to talk about our first periods, and not only that, but basically like the first year of transitioning into having your period and what that was like for us.
And then we're going to talk about what it's like now for us too. I think that's important is, not just the first time, but then how is it now? Well, you are listening to Lady Probs. We are Brittany and Kaylee Woodfield, and we host this podcast every single Monday. We have new episodes out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, really wherever you want to listen to your podcast. And we also have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And basically what we do is we talk about a different topic each week based on trying to normalize different topics that affect women every day. And we don't ever talk about, we don't ever hear. So this is really an experience for Kaylee and I to share our stories for the first time between one another, even though we're sisters.
Yeah. I woke up today and I thought someone kicked me in the stomach, but no one was near me, and I realized it was actually my uterus screaming.
Dying, killing you from the inside out.
Yeah. I've for some reason I've had really bad cramps lately, like within the past year, and I don't know if it's stress or something, but I definitely remember my periods not being as bad as my very first one I ever had.
Yeah, I don't think you've ever told me this story.
I haven't?
No.
Okay. All right, so picture this. A young Kaylee, awkward, insecure, wore Bobby Jack t-shirts.
How old were you? Because that you wore those back when you were like 12. So
yeah. So
been a while.
I remember it was actually like the perfect storm. I was in 7th grade and my birthday's in the summer. It's in July, like you know that. And we went down to our grandpa's house, and I remember I happened to get my first boyfriend, and I had one of those like flip phones, and we celebrated my birthday down there, and I was just like super like mood swingy. I just remember feeling very emotional. And then next month, exactly August 8th, I woke up one morning feeling like a garbage bag. And I waddled my way to the bathroom and I let out this terrible screeching sound. And our mom's office is down the hallway. So she came running out and she was banging on the bathroom door, like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I opened the door, like crying. And I was like, "Look at the toilet." And mom came in and she peeked in there and she was like, "Wow, hi, you're a lady now.
Somebody's a woman.
I don't like it." And so what she did, she was like, "Give me a second." So she went in her bedroom and gave me a tampon and was like, "Here, let me know if you need help." And I like closed the bathroom door and I was like, two hands on the vanity, looking at myself in the mirror, being like, "You can do this. You
You've got
can do
this."
this." It's just a cotton thing that you can shove up your wherever it was, because I didn't know what was going on with me at the point. And
Yeah.
I remember saying to myself that like women have done this for millennia. I can do this too. I
It's
was like,
literally the first one out of hundreds that you'll have. You best get used to it.
right? I was like channeling the spirits of past women.
There you go.
Yeah, she got it up there. And I remember and then I remember feeling like trash. So of course, like mom got me snacks and we got the whole period package going on, and I got
Yeah.
to hang out in my sweatpants all day. And I got a call from our babysitter who's now like at the time I think she was like 30 or something, and she just
Yeah.
had her first kid. and she called me on the phone and she said, "Congratulations." And I was like,
Like,
"What are you talking about?" And she's like,
hey.
"You're a lady now. You got your
Yeah.
first period." And I was like, "Mom, you're not supposed to tell anyone. That's so embarrassing." So
It's
yeah,
funny how it gets around, it gets around so quick, but mom was so proud.
right? For me, like being in 7th grade, it was the summer before my 7th grade. That was the most embarrassing thing mom could have ever done. But to
But
her,
it
it
kind
was
of like
ritual.
the timing was perfect. Like you were going into a new school, you were like it was the time of
It was the
transition.
moons, like the moons
Yeah.
aligned,
Yeah.
and a couple years later, here I am having another period.
Oh my God. Mine was never this bad.
What
It,
was
it,
yours like?
it was also August, ironically. And I remember because for those who don't know, I am 2.5 years older than Kaylee. And you were watching TV in the living room. So you kind of like didn't even know what was
I
happening.
was there. Oh,
Yeah. So we were watching TV and I kind of like felt like I had to pee. So I went into the downstairs bathroom. Mom was upstairs. I don't remember where dad was at the time. And all of a sudden I went to go pee and it felt like something was off. Like it didn't feel like just like a simple stream of liquid. And I looked in the toilet and there was like blood and like the clot, a little bit of tissue came out.
yeah.
And I knew what it was. And all I remember thinking was, thank God this happened in the summertime and I wasn't at school. Like, thank God this wasn't like the month afterwards, and I would have been in school at the time. It was during the day. I remember it was a rainy August day, and I remember like coming out of the bathroom, and I had wadded up like the toilet tissue as one does when you are
Panic.
when you're not so much panicking, but like you just don't have products.
Yeah.
So we just didn't keep them downstairs because that was more like the guest bathroom. So I remember walking around the TV and like clenching my legs together so that way I didn't like pee myself. And I remember just being like, "Hi, Kaylee, bye, Kaylee," and like walk straight upstairs to mom. And I remember like opening her office door and being like, "It's time." Like I
Time
need
you've
you.
been
It's
waiting.
time. So then we went into the bathroom that you were talking about, the upstairs one that you and I had shared, and she did the same procedure where she was like, "Here's a tampon. Let me know if you need help. There's pictures on the box with directions, and just let me know if you need help." And I remember you specifically getting curious because something was happening. You had kind of
An
like your
event was
radar up.
happening.
Yeah, like something had come over the house just then, and you were so like curious, and you were trying to get into the bathroom. I'm like, "Kaylee, can you not? Like, can you give me my time, please?" And totally just turned into bitch mode, like right away. Like it started.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was pretty much it. So that was my first period and my first experience, and you ended up having the same thing a few years later.
I remember going in your room and seeing the American Girl doll book. Do you
Oh my
remember that?
God. Yes, like the care book or whatever it was called, because we were both obsessed with American Girl dolls.
We were.
Back in the day, I remember you had your kit doll. I had a custom one that looked like me. We would used to play with dolls all the time, specifically those. And then one Christmas, I believe it was, or maybe it was my birthday, somebody had gotten the American Girl doll care kit. And all it was like a cartoon version of this other book that mom had checked me out of the library from the 1970s. I swear to God, when we were prepping for me to get my period, that was how we opened up the dialogue in our house. So I remember mom specifically taking me to the library, and I will, to this day, whenever we go home, back to mom and dad's house, when I go into that library, I know exactly which shelf this book is on. And it was like a 1970s book that was like menstruation for dummies. Like it was that, and it was like real pictures of what happens and like the scientific approach to periods and what biologically happens.
Yeah.
And then somebody after that had gotten me this cartoon version by American Girl doll, and it was all about everything having to do with the changes that you went through during puberty. So it was all about like boob types, because they're all different sizes. It was all about the uterus, all about like care for how to care for yourself and how to shave. And one of the things was all about periods.
Yeah.
So it was just that was kind of like the stepping stone into that world.
Yeah, I think mom did a pretty good job with our period education because I remember like in my elementary school in 5th grade, we had a puberty day where, they took the
Yeah.
boys in one room, the girls in the other, and they taught what was going on, specifically like our own body parts. And they sent us home with this care package of like the tiniest deodorant in the entire world,
Yeah.
the most thin pad you would ever think of in the entire world. And then a directions kit of being like, this is just a recap on how your uterus works. And I
Yeah.
remember like being really embarrassed and sneaking up to my bedroom. And obviously, they sent notes home with the parents. So mom knew what was going on. So she
Oh
knocked
yeah.
on my door and was like, so what's in the goodie bag? And she like sat on my bed. She was like, do you have any questions? Let me know. I don't remember what I asked her, but I remember she like sat there for like an hour with me and just answered all of my questions and stuff like that. But I think it's funny that nowadays um people are throwing period parties. Have you seen this video?
Yeah, like
Where
the
they're
blood
called
moon
first
parties.
moon parties. Yeah. And I was like, maybe when I was in 7th grade, I didn't think that was really cool because, of course, I was totally embarrassed. But now I think that would be amazing.
Right? It would be I always think of have you seen Bert Kreischer on Netflix? He's a comedian. He talks about his daughter Isla and his other daughter and how his daughter threw herself a period party. And at this
Go
period
girl.
party, basically the story that he tells is his daughter got her period for the first time, and she decided to ask her father to buy all this stuff for a party. And he's like, great. And she also asks if she could have two boys over for this party. And he's like, okay. And then she says, well, it's a period party and we're not going to tell them why they're here. So these two like middle school boys go to his house and they're all the girls are like whispering to one another because they obviously know the real reason why they're there. But these two like middle school boys are just like chilling in the corner and they have no idea they're at this period party. And it's the funniest video. Oh my God, you have to watch this comedy series. So that's what that reminds me of. It always reminds me of Bert Kreischer's daughter, who ended up throwing this like blood moon party and inviting a bunch of middle school kids.
I love
Um, right? Like I wish they were popular back in the 2000s when we were going through
get
this.
some red velvet cake,
Right?
get some
It's just
Hawaiian punch.
a little food dye here and there. Oh, you'd be all set.
Like such a great way to make it not weird anymore. Just make it a celebration instead of like an oh here.
Right?
Oh.
I remember so when we were on our school bus, we had a pretty long drive back to our house, so it made a few stops. I remember specifically one of my friends from elementary school that lived around the corner from us, there was conversations on the bus and somebody had said, "Oh, you like somebody had their period," and she went, "Oh, I don't have my period. That's gross." Da, da, da. We were in 6th grade, and that was one of my first experiences being like, "Why are you thinking it's gross? You're about to get it because we're in middle school or we're about to go into middle school." And like, I remember I was so embarrassed because I had my period, so I just like shut my mouth and I
Yeah.
didn't say anything. So there's that stereotype and that phobia almost going back even like young girls are afraid to talk about it, and young girls, oh, the cat's coming in.
Yeah.
You know, there's this phobia almost where people are afraid to talk about it. Even young girls who are about to get their periods, there's a stigma against it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I don't think I was too embarrassed to talk about my period. I was mostly embarrassed to buy the products to solve that problem. And I was embarrassed because I bled through my pants. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I've been there.
I can't even, if I had a nickel for every time I bled through my pants in seventh grade, I would have a lot of nickels.
You know what I used to do? Because, like, you know me, like, I was the sports kid, so I played every sport under the sun. Well, whenever I'd have softball games, one of the things that you were required to wear were compression shorts, which, if you're not an athlete, basically they are spandex shorts that are supposed to be tight. That's the whole reason, and they have paddings on the side, so when you slide into home base, oh, the cat's back in again. So when you slide into home base or whichever base, you don't rip up your thigh, especially if you're wearing shorts, because we were required to wear shorts. So I remember specifically buying a bunch of compression shorts and wearing it under my jeans with, like, I would have pad, underwear, compression shorts, and jeans, because I'd be so freaked out that I would bleed through all of these layers that, you know, I would wear more layers underneath. And it gave me a boost of confidence to walk in during the, like, walk around school during the day. Although it didn't always work. You know, there were some times where I literally kept bleeding through it, and it'd just be like, really, today, like, you had to do this, like, who
Yeah.
hurt me?
And the thing is, it takes so long to get used to the symptoms and signs that you're going to get your period. Um, like I know in high school, when probably like a junior in high school, I was so used to it that like if my boobs felt weird like the day before, I was like, yeah, I'm totally getting my period tomorrow.
Yeah.
Come. But back in middle school, I had no idea what any of these feelings were. I didn't know what being bloated was. I didn't know I was hormonal. I thought it was just like me being a crazy like seventh grader. And so I specifically remember the second time I had my period because it was August and then it was September, so it was the first day of school. And yeah, it was like, you know, in our high school, there's 4 towns that went to it. So it was from elementary school, and now you're gonna meet like 3 other student bodies from other elementary schools. And of course, there were like super cute boys and super interesting people that I wanted to meet. And here I am, like a little hormone monster, like bleeding through my pants. And I didn't have any period products on me because I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I think it just slipped mom's mind. And I remember coming home and I bled through my pants and I did the wad of toilet paper and shoved it in there and tied a sweatshirt around my waist. And I came home and I told my mom, and she was like, well, why didn't you bring any period products with you? And I was like, because I didn't know.
Yeah.
So it's like sometimes it's hard for adults to assume you just like know what to do or be prepared like a Girl Scout. It's literally being a period Girl Scout.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree. And even nowadays, like, I still struggle with it because there's times where you just don't know. Like, yeah,
In this crazy world, get so busy.
yeah, you get so busy, exactly. And, like, as we talked about in our very first time recording in the Kaylee Has a Question, there's kind of like this sisterhood that brings you together if you're in the bathroom and you're struggling and you have nothing, and you just reach out and say, hey, does anybody have a tampon? And somebody pulls it out. That, like, bonds you for life.
Yeah. Also, I totally remember girls in my grade being like, ew, you wear a pad? Like, that's gross. That's like a diaper. And like me, I'm like, hell yeah, I wear a pad. Like, I don't want to bleed through my pants.
Yeah,
And I
where
was like, whose period? Like, if your period's light enough, it depends on what kind of products you use. Like, for me, I like tampon and pad, and I'm ready to go. And then toward my end of my period, I'm like, maybe I don't need the pad. At nighttime, sometimes I'll double up on the pad because I don't want to ruin my sheets.
yeah.
But
Which
I
is
feel
it's so weird and contrasting because I'd rather do tampons. Like I don't usually wear pads. Like I usually like avoid them at all costs. So it's very interesting to see the dynamic where you're the yin, I'm the yang, and all of our education came from pretty much the same place. Like it's very like it's a personal choice.
Yeah, it's what works for your body, but I don't
Yeah.
know. But there's definitely things I do nowadays just to help me. I always leave, I call them little tampon bombs all over the place, where I like leave one in my winter coat, in old purses, and
Oh yeah.
cabinets and backpacks and different things like that, just so I have like period products everywhere.
Yeah, my number one thing was once I got that first period, I remember asking mom like, yo, we've got to put some products down in the guest bathroom. Like, even if it's not me, like, you know me, I constantly had friends over. So, even making them feel more comfortable, and we could put it in the back of the cabinet, just we should have something. So, just in case, like, one of our friends comes over and they're without products, giving them full range to dig through the cabinet and find one for themselves so that way they're not uncomfortable and they don't have to ask for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely been there. I put mine in like my desk, my car, my
Well, compartment.
yeah, the travel backpack, the everyday purse. It's
Yeah.
just having the bombs everywhere is great.
The worst thing in the world was another thing I learned was always bring more with you than less. And I
Yeah.
remember being late so many times my like for school because I would purposely be like I'm going back for tampons. I'd rather miss the bus than not have enough tampons for that day. And
Yeah.
when I didn't have enough tampons, I would have to get the cardboard ones out of the machine in the locker room and those were so gross and so bad. They
I
hurt. Ugh.
hated them because they didn't expand. That was the thing, is like they
Yeah.
didn't expand and it felt like you were just there was just like a cork up there.
Yeah.
And I just nope, I've been there. I'd rather just
Gotta be comfortable.
yeah, rather be comfortable, exactly. And going back to the pads thing, for me it was a lot of the pads that were given back when I was in middle school had wings,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
just whoever wears wings on a day-to-day basis, like, I give you so much credit because
You
if
don't like wings?
they
I
get stuck in
love
your
wings.
they get stuck in your pubes and, oh, it just oh, I
Are
feel
you
it no,
okay, never mind.
I can't, yeah, no, I'm on the side where, like, to me, it feels like I'm wearing a diaper. It's just that's my personal, like, it doesn't work for my body. I would rather wear a tampon and have to change that out every few hours. Like I
Mhm.
just I can't do it. Like, and remember that like I was an athlete too, so I would always have to have something on anyway because I was constantly changing clothes, changing uniforms, changing outfits. So it worked better for me, but it's really up to whoever, you know, it's your own personal choice.
Yeah. I totally agree on that front. Um that also reminded me of like another thing, getting used to your body.
Yeah.
Uh just to be like totally real here. I don't know if I ever told you this before, but um getting used to my body, I it's really 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 important to know when your uterus is having a fit or having a problem because like you need to talk to the woman who is in your life and tell them you need to go to the doctor because I remember what was it? I was in high school and I think I had a yeast infection and I didn't really know what it was because it's like kind of the same substance that comes out of you already on a normal basis,
Yeah.
except it was a little bit more itchy down there.
Hmm.
So I had a yeast infection and I had no idea and I had it for an entire year before telling mom.
Oh my
And
god.
I remember I would just ask her to buy more pads for me because of all of the what's it called? Dis
The
the
discharge.
discharge, sorry, word. Um, but she would buy me like the super thin ones just so I had like a panty liner in my underwear.
Yeah.
And then one day mom was like, "Why am I buying all these period products for you? Are you okay?" And I was like, "Oh, kinda, like, it's just a little itchy." And she's like, "Oh, that's not good." And
Mm.
she's like, "What's going on?" And it took mom like 5 seconds of asking me questions and me being like, "Yeah, I think something's wrong," for her to go in and get me Monistat, and it was gone within a day. So my
Yeah.
year of a torture and insecurity led me to, like, learning that, hey, if there's something wrong, no matter how embarrassed you are about it, you need to tell someone. Like, get
Yeah.
help. Don't like sit there in pain.
Yeah, or even just calling an OBGYN, a local one. I kind of have the same-ish story where I ended up having a UTI. So like my pee was burning, like I didn't really like I kind of had an idea, but I didn't really know. Like I'd never had
Yeah.
one before and it just constantly was just like itching. And it was an itch you couldn't scratch. So
Yeah.
I was like, is something wrong with my uterus? I don't know. But it turned out to be like a urinary tract infection. And
Really
um,
dangerous.
it is really dangerous. And I remember being so afraid that I had an STD that I like hid it from everybody
Mm,
until I finally talked to somebody at my doctor and was like, listen, like I need to get tested, like I think something's really wrong down there and I just like didn't want to face it for a few months. And she's like, no, you've been having urinary tract infections. Like this is like your pee is burning. Like there's all these symptoms that's lining up with it. Like we can get you screened, but I think it's this rather than what you were afraid of this whole time. So
yeah.
totally agreeing, like talking about it faster and like quicker and like early detection's better than letting it
Suffering.
go. Yeah, and suffering for it. Yeah. So we were not smart back in the day. But now we know, like,
Now
you know,
we know.
we know not to trust the internet and to talk to professionals about it because, WebMD, you put in these symptoms and you could be anywhere from like a headache to dying. So, yeah, making sure that you go to the right resource.
Yeah. And your OBGYN, they have confidentiality.
Yeah.
So, like, they're not allowed to tell any of your parents what's going on unless you say okay.
Unless you're under 18, I believe.
Yeah, under 18. But even just going to the school nurse and being like, "Hey, do you have extra tampons?" Or I remember one of my friends at school, her mom worked at the school, so she was more than happy to like talk to us about things that were going on,
Yeah.
whether it be like period stuff or emotional stuff or anything like that. There are people there to help you, even
Yeah.
if it's like an aunt or something, you
Yeah,
know.
or like a teacher, or even if the school nurse is unavailable, like there's health teachers, there's physical education teachers, there's regular teachers. I remember one time, one of my math teachers, I believe it was, pulled open that like that like slide under the teacher's desk, that like really thin drawer. Well, she went to go get a tape dispenser or something, and there was a tampon there, and I remember that gave me like a sense of relief that
It's normal.
yeah, one, it's normal in case anything happened, she would be somebody who was comfortable enough to talk about it and say like I need a tampon now, or can you help me with this? I don't know who
Yeah.
else to talk to.
And I think like every so often there's times where as an adult sometimes you do bleed through, it
Oh
just
yeah.
happens. Everyone has their period underwear and everybody has their regular pretty underwear.
Yeah.
And it's okay to ruin underwear. It's fine. It's normal. It's okay to bleed through things. Mom always taught us that you soak it in the sink and you scrub the area together and it
Oh yeah.
usually gets things out.
Oh yeah. I've been there.
Yeah, it's weird when you live with a partner. The first time you have to go through like leaving tampons in their cabinet and like I remember it was funny the first time my boyfriend and I just had the period talk with him and I was like, "Ask me anything you've ever wanted to know about a woman's body and I will answer it for you. Like how does a period feel? How like, this is what this product does."
Yeah.
Things like that.
I mean, it
And
feels like you constantly have to pee until you do pee, but then it's not really pee. It's just constant like coming out. It
Yeah.
just it feels like you have to pee, but you don't. It's so weird.
And I do think it's important for men to also be educated on this too, because when you are with someone who is menstruating and they're having a situation going on, like you can help them or
Yeah.
just know what's going on or be sensitive toward
Yeah.
them, you
To
know?
your point, like I
Yeah.
remember when my partner and I were moving in together, and it was right after you and our other female roommate moved out. And I remember him for the first couple of weeks being like, "Why do we have these flip-top garbage pails everywhere around the house? I hate them. Why did you guys like why did you use them?" And I look him dead in the eye cuz he had like two brothers and a father and his mom, which his mom never shared this information with her sons.
Yeah, cuz like why would she need to?
Why would she need to? And I look him straight in the eye and I go, "Why do you think we would want to flip top garbage? We are three females living under the same roof that all sync up during the same month.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to, one, smell the product. Nobody wants to, two, see the product that somebody else's. And it's just more of like a privacy thing. So even those like small adjustments, it doesn't always click in people's heads that there's a reason why restaurants use those flip top garbage cans as well
Mhm.
instead of the open mouth baskets, is because, if you even if you wrap your tampon up, if it sits there in a while for a while, the blood goes through the toilet paper and that's what you see in the garbage.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of that for it makes a lot of women feel better knowing that that's not going to be out in the open,
Yeah.
especially for others to see. And it's more like a courtesy thing between roommates, I feel like.
Yeah. And totally, people at my work always sync up all the time, and it's
God.
hilarious.
Right? It's just like, "Oh, I feel you."
Thing. Yeah.
You see a change in attitude, you see a change in clothing. It's just like, It's like ESP, but like PSP.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh,
I have to say too, the worst thing in the entire world is going through life with cramps.
that
I
is something that I'm fortunate you took the bullet on as the two sisters here, because I don't really get cramps sometimes, but not
don't.
always.
Oh,
No, I'm so sorry.
yeah. My uterus is really good at being like, you didn't get me pregnant. I'm gonna kill you, and I'm like, I didn't mean to.
Why am I
You
being
can
punished?
handle this.
Right?
Yeah, I cannot stand cramps. I get cramps but a week before and a week after my period. It's insane. Uh, like I said, I woke up today and I thought I was dying. And the worst part is, I mean, some weeks are better than the others.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes I'll literally be hunched over in pain, rocking back and forth. But of course, like when you have to go to work and you have to go to school, you can't show that. Or if you have to, run a business or have a like take care of your kids or whatever you're doing in life, you can't show that vulnerability, which I don't
Yeah.
understand why,
And you
but
can't always stop too. Like, it's not even the vulnerability, but if people were vulnerable, that'd be one thing. But that doesn't mean they can just stop what they're doing too, especially in those situations where there's moms running around with young kids. Like, you could say you have your period and, talk about it as much, but that doesn't mean everybody else is going to jump in, and you still have to power through. And I think that's what that kind of like superhero aspect comes into for moms is you know they don't stop for anything.
yeah. And as a seventh grader experiencing cramps the first time, you always want to stay home from school because it just stinks, but you can't. I,
Yeah.
and it's funny because my senior year of high school, I have had a good grades in high school. I went to school all the time unless I was sick. That was the only time I would stay home. And I tried my hardest and got grades that I thought were good, did a lot of clubs, all that stuff. And senior year of high school, I just woke up one morning and I just felt like absolute trash because I had
Yeah.
my period. And I told my mom, and she was like, you know what, Kaylee, stay home from school today. And I thought she was joking. Like, I started getting ready, and she's like, what did I tell you? You can stay home. And I was like, what? That's a thing? Like, having my period means I'm sick? And she's like, no, but like along the lines of also mental health, like you need to take care of yourself. If you're feeling fatigued, because your period does make you fatigued, and you
Yeah.
have to be careful because your immune system does get lower when you get your period.
Hmm.
That like you can stay home and like take a breather for one day.
Yeah, and remind yourself that if you're so focused on one thing, you're not going to be able to focus on another.
In pain, like you're not gonna have your best day in your entire life. Like,
Yeah, exactly. I've definitely there. I remember one time in high school, because I was in a lot of AP classes junior and senior year. Like I was so anxious that I was going to miss one thing, um, that I would fall behind, and it would just be like an anxiety trap an anxiety rabbit hole that I'd fall into. And I've had that same conversation, and just saying like, you know what, I know I have a game today, I know I have a test today, I know I have a whatever I have today, but it's a me day. And you're literally having a 16-hour day as a 16-year-old is not going to help you if you are feeling like absolute crap. So yeah, no, I totally feel that. And it's funny that you and I also have contrasting food options, that when we are PMSing, we're completely different as far as our food palettes go.
yeah. Okay, what's yours then?
Pickles, 100%. And yeah, and everybody gives me that face, but it's like Oreos and pickles. It's
Oh God,
yes.
why?
I just
Oh,
I love pickles. I could drink pickle juice if I was handed a jar of it. I just there's something about a good bread and butter slice that
okay.
contrasting with chocolate, it's just
First of all, we're dill pickle all the way.
I'm
Okay,
also
we're a
dill.
dill pickle family, Brittany.
I am non-discriminatory towards pickles, okay? I will eat any pickle that comes my way.
Secondly, I I do enjoy a crisp cut pickle here and there. I love fried pickles, but not when I'm PMSing. Like my guilty pleasure is chocolate on chocolate on chocolate on chocolate. Um,
Yep. That
I
and Swedish
love
fish for you too.
oh I love Swedish fish. But anything I remember I used to like get a bag of Tootsie Rolls and get goldfish and like one after the other.
See, it's the yeah, but okay. So yours is cheese and chocolate, mine's pickle and chocolate. So don't judge, okay?
Oh, I also love Doritos. Oh my god. I got a
Oh
bag
yeah.
today.
Right? Whenever oh my
Period.
gosh, whenever my partner eats them, I'm like, oh, it feels like Kaylee and I are living together again.
Ugh, I love
You're the you are the reason I cannot eat a Dorito to this day. It just even the smell makes me want to vomit. I can't.
so good. So good.
Ugh,
It's
God.
eating. I love eating. It just soothes all of my stress and all of my anxiety.
Right? It's
Or
a
at least push
blessing and
it
a
down a
curse.
little bit longer and then I could deal with it tomorrow.
Right? It's like a lot of comfort foods when I have my period. Mac and cheese.
Oh, I
It's
love it.
always
When I'm
yeah.
on my period, I don't give a heck about eating nutritiously.
Yeah.
I'm like, nope, that's out the window. I eat what I feel today. Ben and Jerry's, that is pizza. What else?
Really whatever you're feeling. And there's so many tricks and tips that I've picked up over the years, like the whole like rice in a sock in the microwave thing, the whole like microwavable water bottle trick. It's just there's so many, even though I don't get cramps all the time like you do, it's still nice to have that like a weighted blanket, like something that's comforting you that's not food related. There's so many things that have come a long way in the innovation to help women,
Mm-hmm.
especially while they have their period. One of the things
Monostat, right?
I
Doesn't
have
isn't Monostat like Advil, but like
no, you're
cramp?
thinking Midol. That's what you're thinking. You're
What's
think
Monostat then? Is that the
Monostat is
pregnancy test?
it's specifically for yeast infections is Monostat. But Midol is what you're thinking of, and it's a tiny little pill that you take, and it's like a miracle worker. Whenever I'm going to work, and I feel like crap, that's what I take in order to just like let my troubles go away for a little bit.
Yeah.
And the tips and tricks are just
You know what I do? I lay on my face, like in bed or on my I lay on my face and I put a pillow under my tummy and I use that as pressure. I use that whenever I have an upset stomach, if I have cramps, anything like
just
that.
anything that you need to get digestion like through your body.
Move it out. Yep.
Yeah. I've been there, and it also helps to like have a good playlist too. Like I have like a happy playlist, but then I have like a sad playlist.
You have
that
your period playlist.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep
Yeah, right. A little Leona Lewis in there. Yeah, no, there's just so many little things that you can do to comfort yourself. Like sometimes when I'm feeling blue or I have my period, I do like a self-care spa day. So I am a big fan of painting my nails. That's a big thing on my routines list. Doing like a face mask, that's another big thing. Just doing something that'll make you
Taking
feel
a
a little
hot
bit.
shower, honestly.
Yeah, that too is just like getting it out of your system and like washing your troubles away for a little bit. Anything to like help ease the mental pain and the physical one is just, it's really key when you have your period.
I agree. Well, I'm gonna cheers to sweatpants. Okay.
Same.
Cheers.
Remember when
This
you
is
used
water,
to,
by the way.
oh yeah, not
Water.
straight vodka or moonshine, where it's not,
No.
we're not there yet.
Yeah. We don't
Remember back when we were younger, and I'm pretty sure you still have this item of clothing. Do you remember Dad's neon, or not neon, navy blue Notre Dame sweatpants? Because anybody who is not from our family knows that these pants have been passed down from generation to generation, and they're kind of like the honorary like period pants that you wear to comfort yourself during these horrific times. I remember I wore them when I got my wisdom teeth out. I wore them another time just when I feel sick. Kaylee has worn them and has adopted them. Oh, yep, Fighting Irish right then and there. And now Kaylee just wears them all the time. Right? It's just
Notre Dame.
You have your specific the paint stains.
Yeah, because I love like painting. Because I'm an artist, I love painting in sweatpants. But
there you go. Everybody has their like period clothing that makes them feel better about themselves, and it's a rite of passage. You have to have the certain underwear where you like, it's the time, but then just like the comfy clothes that makes you feel better.
I totally agree. I'm eating a fudge cookie right now because I'm upset. Also, cuddling with Benny is my favorite thing.
Which Benny is her cat that keeps walking in the room.
Oh, yeah. Probably going to meet him soon, but again.
Struggles of doing the virtual podcast.
Honestly, though, in a 1-bedroom apartment. Yeah. My roommate is my cat, along with my partner. I'm living.
Yes, he counts too.
Yeah, he's a little sassy, but we love him.
There you go. This has been an interesting conversation, and like as you said before, it is interesting to see, even though we grew up in the same household and had the same education channels, we experience periods differently. We have different experiences that we can talk about, and we pick up different tools and resources along the way that helps us in our adult lives, that we want to be able to share those resources.
Yeah, I agree. It's really hard when you hit puberty and you're going through that phase, because you're already feeling all jumbled and insecure and whatnot. I know when I was in 7th grade, all I wore were jeans, high top Converse, and gigantic t-shirts that were 3 times too big for me. I didn't know like what my body was yet, or how to control it, or what it was going to do. And it wasn't until high school that I finally kind of figured it out. And going back to our first episode ever of What Makes a Woman, figuring out your period is one of the things that makes you a woman.
Yeah, it's an
Getting
interesting road to navigate, and it's never going to be a perfect path for anybody. Like,
mhm.
you are bound to bleed through your pants. Like, and if you don't, I'm jealous.
Yeah. Also, every woman has a different period too. Some people have it a lot heavier than other people. Some people have it lighter. That and a lot of the times, I know like sometimes I'm supposed to get my period and I wake up and I don't, and I'm like, oh my god, like I'm gonna have a baby tomorrow. Like no,
No, it doesn't
no,
work
I
that way.
haven't had intercourse for the last year. Like I'm the
Yeah.
Virgin Mary. Like no. Sometimes it could be because you worked out the day before. Sometimes it's stress. There's so many factors that go into this that, you know, don't go to the internet, ask your OBGYN, ask your doctors. But every
Yeah.
person has a different period and everybody has a different period story. I know talking to some girls in my high school, there was a girl who bled every single month for an entire year. And there was another girl who didn't have her period for an entire year or had it like one time. And that
Yeah.
means that something not might not be okay down there. So that's when you should talk to your doctor too and see what's going on.
Yeah,
Um
I have that experience. So when I was in my first year of getting my period, I bled for 45 days straight, like a really
wow.
heavy period. And then it just kind of stopped. And I was like, did I just like bleed myself out for the rest of the rest of my life?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it until I got onto like pill birth control did it re-regulate itself. So sometimes there's not an understanding that birth control pills aren't just for preventing pregnancy. It's sometimes for a medicinal reason. And it's something that I briefly talked about in prior videos, but that's why I'm such a big advocate about like universal health care, especially women's reproductive rights and women's health care. Um, because at the age of 13, I was on birth control pills and I was nowhere near having sex, just as a disclaimer.
Yeah.
But it was still required by my OBGYN just to be able to have a period and to normalize that flow. Because if I didn't take those preventative actions, who knows nowadays? Like, I'm 26 years old now. Like, kids are in the nearer future than when I was 13. So if you don't take the steps back then to help yourself, like help your body just push it into the right cycle, it'll have an effect later on in life.
Yeah. I started the pill when I was later in high school. And I took it because I wanted to control my acne. That was number 1. Because I was so insecure about it. I had like the most oily face in the entire
You
world.
did. It was like, all
Bad.
right, here's a salad dressing for courtesy of
Yeah.
Kaylee.
Here, Kaylee, roll your face in this balsamic vinaigrette like today. And then
Yeah.
but yeah, I wanted to do that. I also had like crazy mood swings, and I
Oh yeah.
definitely my menstrual cycle was very regular, but I wanted to be able to predict it. I was so busy in life that I was like, I don't want to be shocked by this and bleed through my pants every single time. And I'm still currently on the pill, which I'm happy about because I know like, oh, next week I'm getting my period. Great, like
Yeah.
I can prepare for it.
Yeah. Nowadays I have an IUD because unlike you, I can never remember to take a pill every day. It's just I just I'm disorganized when it comes to that. It's just that's my flaw in life is I can't remember to take a pill every day. So for me, it's the ability to have an IUD I'm so grateful for because, again, you're not only preventing pregnancies, but now my periods have ceased since getting this IUD in 4 years ago. So that's just another thing to not worry about on a day-to-day basis is that panic, as you say, of not getting a period and not being prepared for it.
Yeah. And like you said, there's like so much new technology coming out in the feminine hygiene market, which
Oh
is
my
very
gosh.
exciting.
Have
Um,
you heard of these things called thinks?
are they, is that the underwear thing?
Yes, I want to try
Yes.
it so bad.
I do too.
So we're gonna get you to be the guinea pig, and we'll shoot an
Okay.
episode or a vlog post where you're just gonna be rolling around in Thinks underwear for a week.
We'll do it next month because
There you go.
we're already going this month.
Now
But
I know what your Christmas present is gonna be from me.
great.
Here's some underwear.
There's also the thing called like the Diva Cup is like the new tampon now.
Hmm. Oh
And
yeah.
I feel like people have seen commercials or something for it, but it's supposed to be more eco-friendly. I don't exactly know how it works, but I know that it works similar to a tampon where it suctions in there and it's a cup so it holds the menstrual lining, and then when you're done with it, you can pull it out and dump it in the sink. You clean it and you boil it, and then you can insert it once again. And it's supposed to be a lot more environmentally friendly, but there's so many like social norms behind it. Because think of yourself in the way future because coronavirus, but think of yourself maskless and breathing through that movie theater air, and you go to the bathroom and you have to change your menstrual product, and in a tampon, you just do it in the stall, and there's those little buckets next to you that are made of metal, so it's the loudest thing in the entire world.
Yeah.
You put it in there and you throw it out, and then you change it again. Well, if you have a Diva cup, you have to pull it out and dump it in the sink, and
Yeah.
then clean it. And I'm just not sure how to use it yet, but I'm curious, very curious about it. But there's another thing I want to mention is that I remember in 7th grade when I was in a public place changing my tampon out, I would also use a pad. And sometimes when a pad gets full, you roll it up and then you roll toilet paper and you throw it out in that bin, the same that you do your tampon. And I remember like opening the pad is like opening a bag of chips. Like it's so
It's
loud.
so loud.
And everyone can tell that, like, oh, girl in stall 3 has her period. What a crazy person. Like, no, nobody's gonna judge you on it. Nobody
No.
cares.
Nobody cares. Everybody's been through it before. Like
Yeah.
you're good. You're fine. You do you. If anything, if I hear that, be like, you go, girl.
Yeah.
You got this.
Like, it's just crazy. I don't know. I remember being insecure for so many things. I remember like I would have to have mom used to carry my tampons when we were in Rite Aid and I needed to buy them. And I mean, I still kind of get insecure now, but not really anymore. Like I'll go to Rite Aid and I'll throw down like tampons, Ben and Jerry's, in like a romance movie, and like the cashier's like nods and
I feel you.
acceptance.
Let me
And
get her out of here as soon as I can.
yeah, have a nice night, miss.
Yeah.
I sure I will cry into my ice cream. Like that's a definite tonight.
Yeah. And I think this is exactly why we decided to create this podcast is there's so many individuals who are insecure about these topics because they're taboo, but we all go through it. Like everybody is affected by periods, whether you identify as a male, a female, they, their, him, her, Zer, like everybody is affected by it.
Yeah.
Whether it be you're trying to have children or you have a period, like the world revolves around periods. If you think about it, like we should all be supportive of one another. And as you say, like there's so many products that are coming out that are both environmentally sound and will help our environment and not create too much plastic, because plastic applicators, thinking about those, and there's just such interesting and exciting innovation when it comes to periods and just reproduction in general, that we just want to be able to talk about it. Like it's so freaking cool. Like, you and I, it's really, we had to get over these hurdles in order to talk about this type of thing, even when we're not recording. So to be able to now bring this to a public stage and be able to bring in women that inspire us and who we want to be, role models for as well, and be able to talk about these type of topics that realistically involve everybody, I think it's just awesome. Like I love doing this podcast.
Yeah. And like we've said this before, we're not experts at oh my gosh, you're talking to a graphic designer and what do you do, Brittany? I don't
I'm an admin for a mental health company, so
Yeah, so you're an administrator, I'm a graphic designer. We have no business talking about periods besides like our own opinions and experiences.
yeah.
But yeah, we need to start talking about it more, even if we have no idea what's going on or what even it is, because it's an important topic and we shouldn't be afraid to talk about it because it's important and it's your health and we love you and you should take care of yourself because you're amazing. Uh,
Yeah.
and yeah, everyone goes through those like weird adjustment periods, but
Yeah.
we're all here to help each other. Yay.
Well, that about wraps it up for today, I would say.
Hmm.
Well, if you liked this episode of Lady Probs podcast, please like or subscribe. We are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, basically anywhere that you look at stuff on your phone or computer, we are there. So Lady Probs podcast, we are Brittany and Kaylee Winfield. And if you liked what you heard today, please leave us a review as well. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to us. Yay.
Thanks.